So what do you use then? Stakes? Crosses?
Crosses don't do squat. Some of the legends are true, though. Vampires are severely allergic to silver. Feed them garlic and they're going to anaphylactic shock. And of course, there's always sunlight, ultraviolet rays. I got this sucker running. You want to give it a try tonight?
We interrupt this program to bring you a special report.
This is Cheapseat Reviews.
Really, really bad Marvel.
Oh my god, these guys are just tools. They're just the worst.
Because I can imagine getting blood out of AV gear would be hard.
No, I was holding Sam's dick.
Hello, and thank you for listening to Cheap Seat Reviews, the podcast that explores the Hollywood film industry for the greater good.
For the greater good.
I don't say blah, blah, blah.
Yes.
Perfect.
All right. So it did come through. That's perfect.
Yeah, no, that was good. I like it. Blah, blah, blah. Oh,
Blah,
my
blah,
goodness.
blah, blah, blah.
Good, nice. I love that joke in that cartoon show in the Hotel Transylvania. And it's like, it's never really explained in the movie, and you just have to kind of like figure out that they're kind of making fun of Boris Karloff because of the way he talks. But
Yeah.
you know, I love the fact that they just that joke stays on through like the whole trilogy. I think it's great. Okay.
Running gags are the best.
Yes. This is episode 366. 366. That means that you can watch one or listen to one episode a day on the leap year and have something to listen to every single day.
I
think
believe they do that in Guantanamo Bay.
Yeah, well.
Because they play our podcast to some of the inmates down there to get them to talk.
Yeah, they're begging for waterboarding at this point.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah, waterboarding is at least faster than what we do.
Please, just kill me now.
Oh, my goodness. This is episode 366, and tonight we're talking about Blade. I am Sean Allred, and joining me tonight is Andrew. That's a really difficult way to catch a subway, Jimison.
Ouch.
Hi there.
Hi.
I wanted to be as sensual as I could be and creepy at the same time.
Okay.
Just for
Nailed
you
it,
guys.
dude.
Thanks.
Just nailed it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so what's up? Hey.
Hey, buddy. Good? You good?
Yeah.
All right. Cool.
Awesome.
Yeah. I'm on it, like a fat kid on a fudgesicle.
There we go. I like it.
Yeah.
Sam, I didn't know sunscreen could protect your vampire hair, Vector.
Absolutely. Didn't you know that?
I didn't. I really didn't.
I would expect you, of all people, to know all about really good sunscreen.
I mean, yeah, SPF 50 does me good, but I also don't burst into flames at the mere hint of sun.
Well,
there's a reason we call you old fire crotch, though.
Is it? Is there? I don't think anyone has ever called me
it's
that.
because of those assless chaps that he wears that,
No, there's
you know.
Yep.
There is that. Oh, my goodness. And joining us tonight,
begun.
making his Cheap Seat Reviews debut and already regretting it, I'm sure, is Ethan. Has 2 new hands, and he doesn't know which one to use from 15 Minutes of Marvel podcast.
What's up, guys? Thanks for having me on the show. If you had 2 brand new hands, I'm sure you'd be stuck in the same dilemma.
Yeah.
Right? They're both brand new.
Yeah.
Which one do you use first? I don't know.
Right?
Yeah.
But do they come out like baby hands? Kind of like Deadpool?
Like in
right?
Deadpool, it's going to feel
Oh, yeah, exactly.
Well, and staying on that Deadpool track, I do kind of wonder, in the back of my mind, like I can't help but to think this, and I know this is like way out there, but what is it like to masturbate with those hands? I'm just asking.
They've got to be soft.
Yeah.
The skin has to be.
Yeah, there you go.
You know, those aren't working hands.
But those aren't your hands. That's the thing that, like,
Yeah.
that's what bothers me a little bit.
It's tough.
You know, I just. I mean, it's good for prostate health. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, my goodness. All right. So, yeah, let's dive into this movie, Blade, 1998's Blade. This was...
I like mustard on my biscuits. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, not Sling Blade. This is
what?
Yeah, no, not Sling Blade. Blade.
Oh crap!
1998's Blade. This was the first Marvel movie I ever saw, and yeah, I think that's accurate.
Really?
I can't. Well, what else would it have been?
Before? Was there anything before Blade?
Well,
there was some bad Punisher. I remember that.
There was an original Captain America.
Yeah, there was a
came
Captain America in the late 80s that's really horrendous that I've never
it's
seen.
bad, but I actually like it just for fun.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Can I
torturing yourself?
Can I contrast you, Sean, and say that this is the most recent Marvel movie I've ever seen?
Sure.
The first time I've ever watched Blade was last night.
Nice.
Oh my gosh!
And you are to thank and to blame. So thank you, and how could you?
Well, so
we blame Sean as well.
So this is week one of our newly minted Cheap Scare Reviews month. I just came up with that last week. I love it.
Yeah.
And
month of horror.
Yeah, we do our month of horror and
horror.
Horror. Yeah.
Sorry, I completely missed the mark on that one, guys.
Well, yeah.
I was expecting some different movies this month.
Yeah.
Okay.
This is a joke
February.
that we've done every year that Andrew's been on the show. So I knew that we were going to do, the month of horror. And I had already kind of browbeat you, Ethan, to saying, man, I got to get on your show. We got to talk about some Marvel stuff. Let's do this. And then I said, hey, let's have you on an episode. And I said, what haven't you seen? And you're like, well, there's some other stuff. And then I was like, ooh, we got horror coming up. Let's do Blade. And you said, I have no idea what that is, but let's do it.
Yeah, I'm way overdue, obviously, for Blade. I have to admit, even though I host a Marvel and an MCU podcast, I've barely seen any of the original X-Men's. I haven't seen any of the Blades until now. I have never seen Howard the Duck. Some of these OG cult following ones,
Mm-hmm.
they just never came across my lap, and so I was way overdue on Blade, and finally got to it.
Now, here's the question. Obviously, this isn't considered in the MCU.
No.
But does this give us hints as to what might come when Blade joins the MCU? Is it going to be, do we know if it's going to be a hard R?
God, I hope so.
So here's the only thing we know about Blade in the MCU, and that is that
Donald Glover.
Mahershala Ali is going to be Blade.
Sorry.
Mm-hmm.
Which is weird because he's also already in the MCU as a bad guy in Luke Cage. But
yeah.
Well, are they considering Luke Cage canon?
Yeah.
Are they?
Yeah, it's part of the MCU.
You sure?
Yes. Yeah, it's part of the MCU.
I thought the Netflix stuff was going to be generally ignored unless they bring it over.
They can't bring it over. Netflix owns it, so there's nothing that Disney can do unless Disney buys Netflix, which they won't.
Mm-hmm.
But
they could, but they won't.
But the latest rumors that I've seen as of this recording is that they're going to continue Daredevil with Charlie Cox. But it's going to be, but it'll be season 4. It won't be a new one. It's going to be season 4. They're just continuing the story just on Hulu, so that they can tell their more.
Okay, so I was going to say their adult stories are going to be on Hulu, and the regular MCU would be on Disney Plus.
Yes.
Okay.
I see.
Yeah,
makes sense.
I have a little Blade tidbit that I can share with you. Yep. I shared it today in my podcast as well, but I guess. Mm-hmm. The Marvel India, their Twitter account, posted a picture yesterday or a couple days ago that had a total line out of all the upcoming MCU movies through the end of 2022.
Mm-hmm.
And Blade was on there, slated to release October 8th or something of 2022.
Oh,
and
nice.
Obviously, that's not happening because it doesn't start filming until July of 2022.
Yeah.
So it's not going to work. But that is interesting that it was already planned for that, and that seems pretty quick. It seems like a pretty quick introduction into the MCU. And now that I have seen this Blade, I hope and I pray that they follow suit with this and they do go the hard R route because I think this movie flourishes with it. So I hope they keep it.
Yeah, I haven't heard anything about it, whether it's going to be hard R or not. It needs to be. I think these movies, like Deadpool, they need to have the edge. It needs to be super violent. I think that's what a lot of people are complaining about. Well, not a lot of people, but many people complained about the Venom movie, is that Venom should have been R. And
I could see that.
I've also heard nothing good about Venom There Will Be Carnage, except that the stinger at the end of that movie makes you excited. That's literally the only good thing, was that the stinger at the end of that movie.
Yeah. I've had to avoid some.
Oh, you
some
confirm you've
TikToks.
seen it?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I went to go see it a few days ago, and I went on a Friday night of opening weekend. I only had maybe like 10 or 12 other people in my theater. Nobody made a peep the entire 90-minute runtime. People were just like glossed over. There were some there were definitely some jokes in there where like they just did not land at all. And you could tell like they were devised for like that really needed comic relief, and it just didn't work. And then dead silence, and then the mid-credit stinger comes on, and myself included, everybody was cheering. People got up out of their seats. I mean, it was pandemonium.
Wow.
Pandemonium for like this 2-minute stinger. And I feel like it says a lot about a movie when all anybody is talking about is a 2-minute stinger.
Yeah.
And not even
credits.
the actual
in the
movie.
credits. Yeah.
Right, exactly. So it's not a great movie at all, by any means.
And what's really sad about that is because Andy Serkis directed it.
Yeah.
And like, we want him to succeed at all things because he's kind of the best.
He's Gollum, for God's sake.
Yeah.
He's great. Yeah.
He is great. All right. So, but he is not in this movie, 1998's Blade, 1998 Blade. And I think I posted on Twitter that I've seen this movie at least 10 or so times. Andrew, Sam, either one of you guys have both seen this before, right?
Yeah.
No, Andrew's shaking his head. No. Okay.
No, this is the first time for me.
Okay.
Nice, man.
Yeah.
And so that'd be cool. So 2 of us have seen it and 2 of us hadn't. And this will be interesting because this was a movie that was on my rotation with Steven, my good buddy Steven growing up. You know,
Steven.
Yeah. Oh,
Sorry.
Should I play it or no? I mean,
No.
Okay. He and I would, we'd watch Die Hard and Lethal Weapon and Blade. Man, we watched this movie a lot, and at the time it was great. I loved it. Now, well, we're going to talk about this movie because this movie is interesting, to say the least.
Yeah.
And I'm going to try to do my best to refrain from talking about Blade 2, which is a far superior film, and I've actually seen not that long ago.
Well, Del Toro did it.
Yes,
so.
Del Toro did it, so it has a little
He is
bit.
well known to do that. He's like a James Cameron of superhero movies, right? Comes in, does the second one, and it blows it away.
I've heard. Well, I talked to actually someone today that I told him that I watched Blade yesterday, and he said, "Oh, well, the first one's okay, but they get progressively worse as it goes on."
No,
He said 3 is near unwatchable.
3 is terrible. They're not wrong. 3 is really bad. The only thing that's fun about 3 is Ryan Reynolds.
That's what he said.
Yeah.
I'm sure he was talking about the Matrix trilogy. I'm sure he just got mistaken.
Maybe so.
It was interesting. I was on HBO Max looking for this movie, and I realized that this trilogy is on HBO Max as well as the Matrix trilogy. And there was something else, another trilogy that I saw, and I thought, we've already done a month of the Star Wars prequel trilogy. And next month, we're doing the original Star Wars trilogy. Maybe we should just do this from now on. We should just pick a month and do another trilogy. So, maybe January, we do the Matrix trilogy or something.
Like Short Circuit. Short Circuit 2.
There's only 2 of those. There's not a third one.
That's the challenge. You got to make it up on the pod.
Oh,
yeah. and then we dream up the third one.
No,
there's not a third one.
No, disassemble. No, disassemble. Input.
But we can't forget Look Who's Talking in that series. That's
a trilogy.
Well.
Yeah.
All-time great.
Three men and a baby, and then that's just two also. Yeah. Anyway, that was a weird place to go. Andrew, please tell us what in the hell is Blade from 1998. I don't know why I keep saying that wrong.
Half mortal, half immortal is out to avenge his mother's death and rid the world of vampires. The modern-day, technologically advanced vampires he's going after are in search of his special blood type, needed to summon an evil god who plays a key role in their plan to execute the human race.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm confused. Who plays the key role? The Blade or the vampire god?
Yeah, the evil god.
Really, right?
It says the evil god plays a key role.
Okay, the way the sentence was structured, maybe I was confused as to who was playing that role.
When I was reading this before, that's the sentence I said. It doesn't make sense. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. That sounds fun. Sam, lay down your 5-word review.
All right.
This
So I
movie.
might have gotten this one a little wrong when I wrote special needs man fixes lawnmower.
Stop it.
Need them French fried taters.
No, I've got two here. I've got witnessing Marvel's initial growing pains, which they obviously had growing pains before this, but this one certainly it kind of bridged the gap between really, really bad Marvel and kind of the new way Marvel did things, right? Where they are adding some humor along with it. But kind of my real review is crappy CGI accentuates ho-hum story. I was continuously taken out of this movie by the horrible CGI. And I was totally expecting it to be better than my memory was giving me. But my God, this was bad. The vampires disappearing is such a cool idea in terms of when they get killed, but it just looked totally fake. I don't know. I don't know how to describe it. It's a fun movie. It's a great early Marvel movie, but at the same time, it's just totally kind of forgettable by the end. The story is I hate to say, just a little bit weak, in my opinion, because it doesn't really ever make sense. Why can't the vampires just get along? Right? Why can't they just get along? I still don't understand why they killed the German guy from Nazis on the Moon movie.
Udo Krieger.
Iron Sky.
Yeah. Iron Sky. And it's just, I never really, I guess maybe I was in a bad mood watching it or something, but it did not strike me like it used to on this viewing.
All right. Yeah. Well, hey, that's fine.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's see. Andrew.
I've got two. Number one here is actually 5.
Wow.
Actually 5
Oh,
words.
So
nice
that's
job.
which
two
I
in a
rarely
row.
do, as you know. All right, so this is poorly written and poorly acted.
Okay.
Okay,
And
good.
then-
I'm at least in the right vein here. Okay, I feel a
Brutal.
lot better. It's always
And
hard
then-
to go
yeah.
first because I never know how you guys are going to go.
And then this next one, I'm sure might be a little confrontational, but I don't care. Lick my nuts. So, placed perfect. This is not 5 words, by the way. Placed perfectly in a year of bad movies.
Ah, okay.
Okay.
With the exception of Shakespeare in Love, The Negotiator, and The Big Lebowski, nothing else was decent that year at all, in my opinion.
Interesting. I hadn't thought about that.
Yeah. But no, Sam, you're 100% right. The
You know,
CGI
I
is
need you to tell my wife that, by the way.
okay.
Well, it is recorded, so you're good.
Okay.
The CGI is just flipping terrible. I mean, I
by
look back,
90, you would think by 98, right? Understandably, the early 90s, mid 90s, okay. But by 98, at least you can make it look like it's in the scene and not Ghostbusters 84-ish.
yeah.
Right?
And it is on that level. It is on that
Yeah.
84 level as far as the CGI is concerned.
Painted on the cell.
Well,
type of
we just
level.
watched Terminator not too long ago, and the CGI in that, in my opinion, is better than this. I'm sorry, Terminator 2.
Terminator
Sorry.
2, yeah.
Yeah. And the CGI in that is far better than this, I think.
Yes.
Well, again, okay, let's make apples to apples here.
Yes, I know.
Terminator 2, Industrial Light and Magic, $200 million movie. This movie, $45 million movie, with I can't even tell you the name of the main production company. Amin Ra Films, Imaginary Forces. Like, who are these people?
Then perhaps they should not have vampire soul bats fly out of people after getting zapped in the head with the Ghostbuster guns.
Oh, New Line
That
Cinema
was
was
the only logical situation, though, man. That's all you could have done were vampire bats.
There's just
what?
so much in this movie.
The vampire soul bats, though, like, honestly, like, they were the least egregious thing, in my opinion, as far as the CGI.
Oh, no.
Seriously?
Yeah,
Oh,
definitely.
really?
Yeah.
But the exploding head,
Yeah, that part was bad.
that was terrible.
Yeah.
It just looks like somebody had an allergic reaction to shellfish.
Yeah.
So,
But that at least was campy. That was like Total Recall-ish type of death, right? In terms of blood, skin and blood gore. It's when they tried to add the CGI that was insane.
going back to the poorly written, though, it just so happens that the vampire finds a hematologist to be like buddies, right? Because that's going to happen in real life.
Well, understandably, how many Marvel movies does the main star, the main character, have some sort of medical friend, or night nurse, or doctor that can help them when they are beat up and put them together?
Wet nurse, yeah.
Did you say wet nurse?
I should have.
It's a trope. It's a Marvel trope.
Here's I wrote this line down.
Yeah, it is.
Listen to this dialogue.
Okay.
Frost throws a good party. Yeah, but where is he? That line, I wanted to peek through the screen, and just it's a terrible line. Why is it even in the film? Nobody gives a shit. Just leave it out. Like, just have the music pumping in the background. We'll figure out that it's a good party, right? You can show us visually. We don't need somebody to tell us, oh, he throws a good party. I just happened to be banging the director, and they needed me to say a line in this film.
It's like something you would see in Full House in the 90s, right?
Yeah.
Or it's just bad writing.
And then so I'm just going through my list of notes real quick. The Foley work, and Sean and I kind of chatted about this. I think the Foley work in this, I have never in my life heard punches so, like, they must have been a centimeter away from the microphone, just slapping the hell out of some celery sticks against a wall or something.
I don't think it was that. It sounded almost like it was computer generated. It didn't feel natural. It didn't feel like someone slapping a side of beef. Like, it felt...
I thought they got a sound from like the old Batman show from the 60s.
It felt very much
is
like
what
that.
I thought they'd got it from.
Now, here's the reason why I commented on that, and this is what I ultimately think. So I have a brand new soundbar, Vizio soundbar, that can do 5.1 surround.
Yeah.
It actually has 2 rear channel speakers. And there was something happening in the encoding for the audio. And either my soundbar didn't know what was happening, or HBO didn't know what was happening. I don't know which, but what the problem was is that all of the special effects sounds that would normally come through your main speakers, not the dialogue, not the center channel, but
like
the gunfire, specifically gunfire. None of that came through my soundbar. So literally all of the gunfire was silenced. I heard nothing. Now I would hear in my
They
rear
have silencers on them.
yeah, and I would hear the rear channel. I would hear like the ricochets and the impact. I would hear the bullet impacting blades, chest plate or the door or the whatever. But when you're firing, I heard nothing. And there was some other little weird things like that. Ethan, you're nodding. Did you kind of experience anything like that, or was everything fine for you? Because it was off-putting for me.
No, I mean, I didn't experience anything like that, but I did experience some serious volume swings. Like, I don't know if anybody else saw that. Like, I don't know if it's a 90s thing or what is it, but like, I had to crank it when it was like all of them talking, and then they would like bust down a door with a bunch of guns, and I was like petrified my children would wake up and think there was a firefight in my kitchen or in my living room.
Yeah.
So I had the remote basically in my hand the whole time, and I was just like, I was on call for the volume change.
All right, so that has to be movie centric though. That's not a technology issue. That is something they chose to do themselves.
Yeah, it has to be.
And Andrew, I interrupted your train of thought, but I want to stay here for just another moment.
No, it's fine.
The other really another really moment where I noticed that the sound design was weird was at the very beginning when the dude is getting brought into the club. Again,
oh, you mean the epilepsy center?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Again, for whatever reason, and maybe it was the mix from my... And now that I'm saying it out loud, it probably was the mix coming through my speakers, because the music in the background was so quiet compared to him. Like, he was having normal dialogue, like, hey, this is a cool party, and oh yeah, where'd you go? Like, he's just saying normal dialogue, and the music for me was so quiet. I thought, this is the least apt depiction of a rave ever. Like my son listens to music louder than this. Like, I don't understand. It was very weird. But now that I realized that the rest of the sound effects were basically non-existent in my speakers. And this is the only movie that it's done this before ever. I've most of the movies I watch on that, because I want to experience it, because it's a 65-inch TV and that's surround sound. I want to experience it as close as I can to what the director wanted me to experience. Yeah. Without obviously, again, also waking up the kids. But yeah, anyway, what else were you saying, Andrew?
Well, I was pretty much done. I we'll talk about more of it as I go. I just did not, as a first time watching it, I didn't like the movie. There was just so much in that took me out of the film, especially at the end. Like the very last couple of scenes as they're, making contact with this evil god or whatever, which I never really understood. Okay, so his mom, spoiler alert, who's not dead, who's hitting on him weirdly.
Definitely attracted to him, like in every fashion. Yeah.
Rips open Deacon's shirt. For what purpose? At the end, like before the blood drips on his forehead, she just goes up to him, rips open his shirt. Do you have to have your shirt? Is that on the scrolls? It says you have to open your shirt in order to turn into this evil god.
And it can't be ripped open by yourself. It has to be ripped open by someone else.
Somebody else has to do it. Then as he's fighting in this last scene, I know I'm jumping way ahead, but as they're fighting in this last scene, there's one scene where they're just kicking at each other. And it made me think back to Game Over, Man, when they were like shooting near each other. And I was like, did you just kick at me, bro? Like, they weren't actually kicking anything. It was like 2 or 3 times.
There was some bad fight choreography. I mean, you throw punches thrown that are 3 feet away. You see the air between the two actors, and it just gets, it just gets glossed over. And poor directorial decisions in this movie.
And maybe I missed something. But where did Deacon get a sword at the end?
He just brought it.
That was Blade.
No,
I thought that was Blade's sword.
No, because remember, Blade pulled his out of the wall.
Because just all of a sudden, he's like, "Let's do this," and he has a sword. Like nowhere else in the movie does he have a sword. He just happens to have one right there.
And apparently, Blood God status makes you not only invulnerable to cutting, but also excellent sword play.
Oh yeah,
right.
That's a trait vampires have that's never really been explored in movies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
The last thing that bothered me, and I'll shut up. You guys can talk.
No, it's fine.
So we get into this place, and he drops what's her face down into the pit, and Curtis is there, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Was Curtis British earlier in the film?
I was hoping somebody would say this.
Because after he's turned into a vampire, he has a British accent.
Well, maybe it was a British vampire that bit him.
Is that
It follows the
is
blood,
dialect
right?
contagious?
I think so.
All right, that's. I've got more, but I'll stop for now. I'll let you guys go.
No, this is great. I actually like
perfect.
snarky Andrew. This is my favorite version of you.
Just when I'm pissed off when I watch a bad movie.
Yeah. Well, it's
Yeah.
funny because
Yeah.
the dude isn't British. I mean, he's born in L.A. He's
But he definitely had an accent.
yeah.
I wonder if maybe that was filmed first, and then they went back and he forgot that he did an accent, or I don't know.
It could have been simply. It might have been overdubbed by somebody else.
Could have been.
You know, like maybe like his zombie voice didn't really work, and so they wanted to have it sound different because everything else about him is different. I don't know. He's also in Iron Man 1 and 2. So there's that.
As what?
He's
Wow.
So you know the major that hangs out with Colonel Rhodes, like that guy that's like always standing next to him. That's the same dude.
Oh.
So
Okay.
when Colonel Rhodes shows up with the suit in Iron Man 2, and he goes, "Did you steal this?" And he's like, "No, we're gonna weaponize this thing," or whatever he says. I don't remember what he says, but anyway, that's that dude.
Okay. Does
yeah.
he have a British accent?
No, he doesn't. But that would be weird if he had a British accent and he's in the American army
military outfit.
Yeah, that'd be weird.
Uniform.
Okay, Ethan, do you have a 5-word review?
I do. I actually have a couple 5-word reviews, if that's okay.
Sure.
Am I allowed more than one?
Dude,
Absolutely.
Yeah. Andrew
Okay,
usually has
excellent.
like 4, and none of them have 5 words.
So all of mine definitely have 5 words. And it's very interesting because, Andrew, you mentioned this is the first time you've seen it as well. So I had a completely different viewing experience. So all of my 5-word reviews are not in line with yours. My first one is, are all zombies this horny? Because this movie is ridiculous, by the way. It's in line with like the shirt ripping. Like, what are we doing? I don't know. Maybe it's a zombie thing. I've never come in contact with a zombie, so I don't know.
You mean vampire?
If that's
Or
that's
vampires?
with a vampire. I don't know if that's how vampires like operate. I don't know if you're just like suddenly under this allure of I gotta have vampire. Number 2, 90s Vampire Slayer kicks butt. I thought Wesley Snipes, this honestly, and I feel like I might catch a lot of flack for this, first Wesley Snipes movie I've ever seen.
Oh, wow.
And
okay.
I don't feel good about that, but we're here, and I thought he was pretty good. And then my last one is Quinn is the ultimate hype man. There should always be a person like Quinn in every single movie like this because he's so ridiculous. And when we're introduced to him, he's getting like sexual acts performed on him in the club.
Yeah.
And like this is our introduction to Quinn. The guy is just like the ultimate big balls kind of a dude, and he's hilarious. And I got to call out one specific scene with him towards the end with him and Deacon when Deacon like asks for his hands and he like acts like he's gonna cut off his hands, and Deacon's like, nah, never mind. And,
I'm just
and Quinn's
kidding,
like,
man.
oh man, you got me so good. You were joking. That was a good one. I was like, oh my god, these guys are just tools. They're just the worst, and they're so funny though.
They're frat guys.
I was honestly hoping that scene was like improv, not in the original script.
Oh yes, I hope so. It had such like a natural flow to it. There like that. There's a reason that 2 seconds like stands out. I think that played really well. But yeah, I mean, I think like overall, this movie was way better than I expected it to be. Obviously, the CGI is abysmal, but I will say it's possibly how I went into this movie because I had a spiked seltzer and a CBD seltzer before I watched this film.
Okay.
So I was like, I don't know, I was pretty relaxed. I was
maybe
enjoying
that
it,
is
and
the key.
I thought the disappearing vampires, I don't know, like maybe it's just one of those things where I feel like the first time you watch it, you either go like one of two ways. It's either going to rub you the wrong way and you say like, this doesn't look good, or like in my case, I was like, that's terrible, but that's also really cool. Like that's pretty awesome that he makes them disappear, and like that's kind of the way that I went. And yeah, basically the entire third act is obtuse and ridiculous, and it's got very Cabin in the Woods vibes to it, of like you have to do this summoning of this crazy ritual. But I don't know, I thought it was kind of cool. I thought it was sweet, and maybe it's because also this is like the first and only hard R Marvel comic book movie I've ever seen, and so like when Blade basically says like F me, no, you F this, and like shoves a gun at somebody, I was like, wow, we're in a different playground. Like this is a different sandbox than what I'm used to, and it was really cool. I liked it a lot. It was a fun movie. Yeah, it was cool.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Right on. I have some interesting things to tell you about kind of the ending and the blood god and the ritual and all that stuff. So we'll do that in just a second. So my 5-word was not as good as remembered. Because I watched this.
I agree.
I watched this. Yeah. This is the guy that's never seen it. Again, I watched this in high school. I didn't in 98, high school age. Sam was already married with 3 kids, but sorry, I don't know why I gave you an extra kid. You only have 2 now.
Well, you don't know.
Well, you're right. I guess I don't.
Neither do I.
That's the one that he just scares the other 2 about.
Yeah.
You used to have another sister.
We put her in the bad kid closet. She hasn't gotten out yet. So I never cared about the CGI. Like even back then, like you knew it was janky because we'd seen
good CGI.
Jurassic Park and Lost World and Saving Private Ryan. Like we've seen what CGI can do, but also I just didn't think I cared then, and kind of don't care now.
Oh, wow.
Like I looked at it and I was like, "Yeah, that's dumb, but whatever. It's gross and ridiculous and it's over the top." But but this is also a comic book movie in the 90s where comic book movies weren't taken seriously. I mean, the fact that they allowed this to be hard R and to do the things that they were going for, I thought was pretty cool. Now, there's a lot of stuff that does not hold up. Like when he's chasing the cop through the streets and they're doing that awkward fast, that they speed up the camera up like 10%.
Yeah.
I hate that.
Good.
That's so bad. I hated it,
Yeah.
when I was in high school, and I really hated it now. Especially when that vampire is just on the side of the street being super obvious eating that girl and then makes a weird cat noise. I didn't. Yeah, I didn't like that at all. And
There was a couple of sounds that I was like, that's a tiger roar that they've, it just kind of took me out.
Well, later in clips, I have the most egregious sound put to film, maybe not ever, but that we've seen in a long time. This is the same level.
Not since Nymphomaniac.
Well, I was going to actually say not since, I'm choosing to ignore that on purpose. Not since the...
Oh, the scream from the window.
No, not the, no, but
That's
I do.
still bad. You gotta,
No, the scream from the window is terrible. I'm trying to see if I have it handy. Maybe I got rid of it. I don't remember. No, the explosion from Army of the Dead. Remember that they used the Star Wars sound?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that really, really annoyed me when they did that. So anyway, I can't find it, but that's fine.
Going back to that scene where the cop and Blade is like beating him in broad daylight, and I kept thinking, if I were in a big city, New York or Chicago, whatever, and I see someone just wailing away on a cop,
yeah,
Do I say anything? Or do I just let it happen?
Your own moral gray area?
Didn't Seinfeld teach us we have to intervene?
I think so.
Has to be
Right?
done. Yeah.
Well, I mean, also the fact that they're standing. When they have their standoff later on in the movie in broad daylight, which still just seems weird, and he's holding that little girl. Again, no one is like, hey, that doesn't seem right that you could pick up a girl by her neck and hold her like a football. Like that doesn't seem right. So anyway, I found the clip. I'm going to play it real quick. I just have to. But here we go. Yeah. So that was in an explosion in the Army of the Dead movie, and I was like,
"It's bad.
You can't use Star Wars sounds." So anyway, there's something like that happens later that just drove me crazy. Anyway, okay, so I'm gonna dive into some notes because I took some notes on this movie, and I did write. So you guys know me, or at least two of you do. Ethan doesn't know me very well, but that's okay. My first note was, I really hope that the DJ has all of his gear out of the way of the bloodbath. Because I can imagine getting blood out of AV gear would be hard.
I did notice, by the way, that Blade somehow was able to stay out of the showers.
Well, there were
while
like,
he was there.
There were two people that did as well, like two random party goers that were completely blood free in one of those scenes.
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah.
If you're going to a club called Bloodbath, that's it. That's the goal.
Right.
You're trying to
With
get
meat
blood on
hooks
you. Why are
the-
you
on
staying
the
away?
ceiling. Yeah.
It's like going to a Blue Man Group concert, I guess.
Yeah. I guess. I did write also one of the coolest character intros ever. I just love the way they intro him. Like the dude's crawling away and then there's just his boots. And then we get the cool, slow pan up. And then the full reveal as the crowd parts and he's just standing there looking badass. I thought that was a pretty cool hero shot. I really did. I thought that was pretty cool.
Not bad.
His car is really cool. I wrote that. I love that Charger that he has. That's awesome.
Now that is, I did notice the car. Cool. Usually I'm not a car guy, but in this one I was like, damn, that's a nice car.
Isn't the new Batmobile a Charger, the one with the Twilight guy?
Oh, I don't know.
Robert Pattinson. Don't call him the Twilight guy. That's my boy.
Right?
He's been in a lot of good things since Twilight, so we got to give him a little bit of credit.
Yeah, but you know exactly who I was talking about when I said the Twilight guy, right?
Yeah, so that's not the point. That's not. Don't visit the logic of the sentence. Just.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Trying to think. Teen K-pop with old men watching. That was gross. That scene really made me uncomfortable.
That was weird.
Do we want to talk about the fat vampire down in the basement? What was her name? His name, excuse me.
Pearl.
Pearl. Oh my gosh, what a gross thing, right? I mean,
weird.
It was like a human version of Jabba the Hutt.
Or a vampire version, yeah.
Or a vampire version, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But that voice, that voice.
Yeah, I couldn't. I don't know if it's supposed to be kind of ambiguous, but. The name was Pearl, but then he called him he, and he's probably like a Triple H cup or something. I don't know, but
Triple H, nice. Yeah. That's a callback you didn't realize because I think he's in the third Blade movie.
Yeah,
I'm curious how did Pearl get like that? Was Pearl like that and then was turned to a vampire, or did that happen after Pearl became a vampire? Can you become overweight like that when you're a vampire if you're eating people all the time? Is it possible? I don't know.
See, here's something I've always been kind of curious about, and again, I'm not hip on vampire lore. So, do vampires still eat food, like regular food? Like they need blood to survive, but like
they didn't in Twilight.
Yeah,
but they do in What We Do in the Shadows, don't they? Because they have a bunch of dishes that they need to do. I don't know if anybody's seen that movie, but yeah. I don't. That's a tough one. That's a good question.
Because, like, to your point specifically, I think Pearl has been there a long time. It feels like Pearl is the record keeper. Pearl is the super fat blob version of the dude what lives on the boat inside the boat in Waterworld, whose only job it is to measure the oil, right? Like,
Yeah.
here's your one job. This is what you will do forever. And his just happened to be the record keeper, but you're never allowed to leave this chair. Therefore, he ate himself into whatever. But to your point, I don't know. I mean, was the blood just high fat? Was it like high cholesterol blood that he was taking? I don't know. I don't know how it all works.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Do you think that vampires are at risk for like HIV, syphilis?
I wouldn't think so.
No, because they self-heal, right?
Oh, okay.
So I would guess that would not affect them.
Oh. See, I didn't think that they could heal their blood diseases. I thought it was just physical like ailments that they could self-heal.
I would assume that
Interesting.
It was
blood would be considered part of the physical.
Yeah, I would assume it'd be any of it. Especially if you had it before, then you would heal, right? Obviously not scars, but as was pointed out. Let's see. I'm not going to talk about that. Let's see. Poor Whistler.
Yeah, you take the most interesting character and you kill him off in the first season or first movie. That kind of sucked.
Yeah.
And it was like
Everybody
halfway
likes
through
Whistler.
too, or like just over halfway.
Yeah.
It's not like he made us like a last stand to the end. And I will say that when Whistler showed up, when they were kind of like in that scroll room, and Quinn and everybody like kind of came for Blade and Karen, and then Whistler showed up with that explosion, I was like, that's our guy. That's super rad.
Yeah.
And that's amazing that he's here. And then he dies like 20 minutes later.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well.
Yeah. I mean, he did have great bedside manner, though, as a doctor.
Yes, he did. He was a.
This is true.
I like his character. I think it's interesting.
too.
I like the idea of the man in the chair, only this guy is he's the guy in the chair, but also the mechanic and also the weaponsmith. And you know what I'm saying? Like, he's the jack of all of the trades of Warcraft, so to speak. And I like Chris Christopherson. I think he's just a really good actor, and he just he's a.
I would have liked to have seen him put up more of a fight.
Yeah, I see that.
Right?
A dude
He
who
had a bum leg.
But in a way, this is a lot like Bond losing Q, right?
Sure. Okay. Yeah.
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 But if Q was also like a retired 00,
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying? Like, Q from the movies was just always the science nerd, whereas this guy's seen some stuff. Like, he looks like a dude that survived Nam. Right?
Yeah,
he knew how to fire a weapon and all that stuff. So I see your point. It would, I mean, he took out a couple of the vampires. It would have been kind of cool to see him take out a few others, or shoot a hand off of off of what's his face,
or continue to dismember.
Yeah.
Just, have something else. To have him lose.
take an ear off or something else. Yeah. Let's see. It feels like the amount of blood that they took from him would drain him completely. That was a lot of blood they took out of Blade. It felt like.
Yeah.
With that.
Yeah.
That
Oh,
place.
and the styrofoam Toy Story 2 encasement that they put him in to draw the blood. That was another thing. I was like, this is perfectly shaped for his body. Just suck in there.
Awesome. Yeah.
It made me feel like he was an action figure, and that was the styrofoam case that you're pulling him out of.
No, that's good. Yeah, it did seem like a super elaborate way just to bleed somebody's wrists.
Yeah.
I guess it had to go down a very specific way. And I also find it interesting that Frost, who's been a vampire for like 5 minutes, was able to find this tomb that these other vampires have been around for 100+ years. They couldn't find. Oh, and by the way, this ancient vampire relic is in America for some reason. Like that felt weird. And we also find out
Native Americans were all about the old vampire stories.
But we also find out through the trivia that the map that Blade is looking at is a map of New Orleans. So they were in New Orleans the whole time.
Oh.
That wasn't New York.
Huh.
Interesting.
But it looks like New York because
I didn't think New Orleans was that big. and had those kind of buildings.
I've been to New Orleans, but I don't remember there being that many big buildings.
Not
but
really.
If
I remember
look
right,
like,
I remember the casino.
I don't know.
That's about it.
I'm trying to think if you could see on the cop if it says NYPD or whatever, but the map he's holding is New Orleans. So either that's where they're looking currently, or that's where they're going to think about going next.
Interesting.
But either way, there's just this giant 4-story tower that's underground that no one knows about. Just seems highly convenient. But Frost is able to figure it out. Like the guy says, those scrolls that no one can read because it's a dead language, yet, Steve Jobs' computer was able to figure it out in a couple of hours. So there's that. I also made the joke of, why is there wind when they're underground?
Because it's a cool shot, man.
Yeah, I know. It's the same thing from in Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse when they meet Noir Spider-Man. He's like, "Is there wind? Like, why is your jacket flowing? We're in a building. The wind calls
everywhere I
me."
go.
Yeah, I love Spider-Verse so much. It's so good.
It's funny.
And then my last note was, I love that the sub boss that he toyed with and fought with all movie died in a single move. I just love that. I really did. I thought that was like I'm saying, like the movie kind of makes you think that he's close to being an equal to Blade, and then Blade reminds us that no, this dude's not. It's just he's lucky enough to only lose a limb every now and then.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my goodness! Anything else we need to talk about before I do clips and whatnot? Anything you just got to say about this movie that you just got to?
Does it feel like a Marvel movie?
Yeah, it
right?
feels like.
I mean,
I don't think it doesn't feel like the Marvel movies that we know.
Well, sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I mean, the new Blade is going to feel very different than this one. Again, it's just I didn't say this. I want to talk about. So the director is named Stephen Norrington, and he is.
That's where the British accent came from.
Sure. Yeah, maybe. Maybe.
Of course.
He has only directed 4 films. So before this, he did something called Death Machine with a bunch of actors that I don't really know. Brad Dourif was the only dude I recognized. There's some other guys here, but I don't know who they are. Anyway, so he does that movie, and then he does this movie. He does Blade. And then he directs something called The Last Minute in 2001, which even the box art says, from the director of Blade is The Last Minute. Billy Byrne is going to the next big thing, the next pop idol, the next art scandal, the next scream dream. Doors and worlds of possibility open up. Then it all goes wrong, and the world doesn't care about his style, his voice, his thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Jason Isaacs is in it, so that's kind of neat, I guess. And yeah. So, yeah, then that's got a 5.7 on IMDb. And then his last film was The League of Extraordinary Gentlemen.
Oh.
Sean Connery classic.
Yeah, well, the movie that made Sean Connery quit Hollywood.
Right?
Yeah.
Brutal.
And he's done some other, after that he did some special effects stuff, but he's effectively out of Hollywood at this point, this director. I mean, he's done. The only thing he did after League of Extraordinary Gentlemen was he did something called Harbinger Down, and he was design sculpture creature crew ADI. That was in 2015. Other than that, that's it. So he's done with Hollywood. Mm-hmm. He's somewhere teaching something
out of school.
Yeah.
I will say real quick before you move on, Sean, that he also was creature effects and alien creature effects for Aliens and Alien 3.
That's true.
So
okay.
That's, I mean, if you're trying to like build a pedigree for this guy, those are the two things. Like Alien 3 was directed by David Fincher. So that's pretty cool. But yeah, this guy, I think it's so weird / interesting / like telling that his second movie was Blade. So this was his second movie that he ever directed, and we don't ever get that in the MCU that we know now. We always have like established directors because we know what we want. except for The Eternals coming out, which is Chloe Zhao's second film, I believe. And so I just think that's an interesting, like, 20 or, 30-year difference almost, 25-year difference of, like, what goes into a movie like this, or a comic book movie in general. I think it's really cool.
I'll actually counter that. I'll actually argue that point with a couple of, for example, James Gunn was not, he'd done Slither, right? Like,
sure, that's a good point.
You know what I'm saying? Like, he had not done, I think the MCU is actually pretty good on taking risks with its directors. I mean, John Favreau.
I also think there's a lot of background help from the studios in terms of you are not allowed to go too far away from the Marvel formula, right? We give you leeway, but only so far as
right.
we let you go. They're watching very closely.
Well, sure. I mean, there's a reason why Shane Black was fired and they brought in a different guy for Ant-Man. Like I get that, but I'm also thinking about, like, in Phase 1. Remember, Phase 1 was solely Marvel. It wasn't Disney yet, and it was Marvel Studios. Kevin Feige was in charge. He had the grand plan to create this movie that we would eventually get to the Avengers. And at the time, we remember thinking, how in the world do we get this many good actors in one movie? Like, it was, how did Joss Whedon pull it off? Because again, at that point, Joss Whedon was known for Serenity and Firefly, and some of his other TV stuff, and then he's handed the reins to Avengers and just knocked it out of the park. So maybe, Ethan, to your point, maybe some of the other movies, I think you're right, where they're going to go with more established directors. Again, specifically, like Shane Black gets fired because he wants to take Ant-Man in a different direction. And there are some other directors I can't even tell. Like, I don't even know who directed Doctor Strange, but
sure.
Sam Raimi.
Yeah. Well, he's doing the second one.
Yeah.
Sam Raimi's doing the second Doctor Strange, which I'm super excited for, because probably my favorite Sam Raimi movie ever is Spider-Man 2. And I love when he gets to, like, when Doc Ock is coming to life for the first time, and that whole scene is shot like a horror film, and I love it.
Oh yeah.
That's so good. That's Sam being Sam. Okay. Time for some clips. Clippy clips. All right. Here's that dude at the beginning who was, like, the luckiest. I guess would Blade be like his ex machina, like Blade ex machina? That's what saved him. Anyway, this is just him saying this. This always annoyed me, the way he said this.
It's a surprise, baby. Yeah, I like surprises. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's hilarious.
Like, I wouldn't have minded if he got turned. I'm just saying, or killed. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Here's Blade being awesome.
Are you out of your damn mind?
I love that one.
He brings such a good energy to this character that is, like, it's just like a full send for this character. When you talk about Wesley Snipes, like, he is so committed to what this character is, and I think, like, that line is so perfect.
Yeah.
Because that's encapsulates exactly what his energy is the entire movie.
Yeah, Wesley Snipes is one of those where, especially in casting of, like, in MCU, you look at in 1998, I can't see any other actor doing this part. There was a couple other actors that they thought about, but it has to be him. Whereas you look forward now and you're like, yeah, I can't see anyone else but Robert Downey Jr. as Iron Man. Like, he is Iron Man,
Yeah.
Like, he totally... And I just also love the fact that the cops just run away. They shoot at him, the bullets bounce off, and he says...
Are you out of your damn mind?
And they just leave. Oh, my goodness. This is a private conversation between Sam and Andrew before we started recording. They didn't know I was recording this, so I'm not really sure what they're talking about, but it's a little intimate, is all I'll say.
Still heavy. But you're so big.
So Not really sure what they're saying. They're talking about, but
Checks out.
No, I was holding Sam's dick.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, I'm glad.
That's good. You're right in line, Andrew, with the 1998 style of writing. Everything has to be to a T explained. I love it.
Yeah, there you go.
On brand.
I just don't believe in pussyfooting around. We're gonna just get to the point here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You mean
dicks?
There you go. Thanks,
Yes.
Steven.
Oh dear.
All of his. Yeah.
Thanks, Steven.
Oh man.
I liked this line. This is from Pearl. It's so funny because you have these movies where they're like, "You can't stop us," and then the guy goes, "Oh yeah," and they double down. But Pearl really I thought this was one of the funniest lines of the movie.
And there's nothing you can do about it, Daywalker!
Is that so?
Well, that's what Frost says.
I mean, it's kind of funny, It's like, well, that's what my boss said, Like, I don't really know. I like that. Okay, and I was required to get this one.
Some is always trying to ice skate uphill.
There you go. That line was actually ad-libbed by him. That was his line. That wasn't script.
That's cool.
That was his line. Now, I teased this earlier about having an egregious noise in the movie. So Blade is fighting some of the mini vampires, and this movie is really bad about in the 80s and 90s where one punch takes a dude out, and somehow in this movie his punch kills vampires. I'm not sure how they die, but they die. So he's using a shovel.
It's blunt force trauma.
Yeah. So he's using a shovel, and this happens. It was like a video game. Like he was getting coins or getting points for hitting.
Ding, 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 ding.
We'll play it one more time. One more time. That is so bad.
And there's one point in the movie where you see a kind of a close up of the shovel, and you can tell that it's a prop shovel, and it's like styrofoam.
Yeah, it bounces a little bit.
Yeah.
Oof.
Yeah, that's fine. All right, here we go.
No,
And now for some more bad news. Ready?
All right. Time for some trivia. By the way, tropes. I wrote enemy creates hero who eventually will defeat him trope. I mean, it's kind of like the 1989 Batman trope, right? Where the guy, what would become the Joker, creates Batman by his actions, and then Batman creates the Joker by his actions, and then, then he kills him. Spoiler from a long...
What?
Also, I wrote Frost is omniscient trope, because he not only knows where the temple is, he also knows where Blade's hideout is somehow.
Well, it took him a while to find it.
Well, yeah, which he, of course, says in the movie. Oh, nice place. It took me a while to find it. How did you find it? I just don't understand. I don't know.
He was just searching rundown warehouse.
Yeah, he Googled it. Google Maps.
Google
Brought him right
Maps
to it.
in
You
98.
just search Blade's hideout, and it goes right there. You can street view it.
Sure.
You see Wesley Snipes standing outside practicing Blade. So,
Blade stuff.
Blade stuff.
Oh, my gosh. Okay. Trivia. All right. So when David S. Goyer
Moon hits your eyes.
first pitched the idea of doing a Blade movie, the executives of New Line felt that there was only 3 actors that could possibly do the role: Wesley Snipes, Denzel Washington, and Lawrence Fishburne. But in Goyer's mind...
Joe Pesci.
Joe Pesci.
Could you imagine? That's.
I think I need to Photoshop something up with Joe Pesci as Blade.
Oh
Yeah, that'd be good.
Yeah, don't do blackface though. Just like make it regular.
No, just no.
Just
I
Joe
won't go
Pesci.
there.
Regular
But
Joe Pesci.
Joe Pesci Blade.
It just adds to his phenomenal 90s run. He
Yeah.
just caps
Right?
it off with Blade.
I love it. But in Goyer's mind, yeah. Exactly. Am I here to decapitate you? No. Snipes was always the perfect choice for the character of Blade. Okay. In updating the vampire lore, Stephen Norrington and David S. Goyer decided that crosses wouldn't work against vampires, citing, quote, "What if a vampire was Jewish? Why would a cross work against him?"
Yeah.
Like the logic's sound.
Yeah.
You can't say
Why
anything
is
about
this?
it.
Why is he the first person to think of this?
Yeah.
Vampire lore has been around for a very long time.
Yeah.
And just now we're thinking, wait, there could be Jewish vampires.
Yeah. So the cross would mean nothing to them. Yeah. Okay. The scene where Quinn, Donald Logue, attacks Karen in the hospital corridor, which is when he's all Mr. Crispy, features a lot of screaming. But they knew something was wrong when Logue started yelling too. During the tussle, he fell face first into the hard floor and completely dislodged his jaw. He had broken it in an accident years prior, and opening his mouth too wide and too fast can unhinge it. When they were filming in an abandoned hospital, but they had to rush to a real hospital. Quote, "But I've got this guy who's dressed as a third-degree burn victim, essentially naked, running in with his jaw hanging down." End quote. The room cleared out pretty fast.
Oh, if only there were cell phone cameras back then. Yeah. That would have been great.
Stan Lee originally had a cameo that was ultimately cut from the film. He played one of the cops that came into the Blood Club during the aftermath to discover Quinn's body on fire.
Dang.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I love how, speaking of that, I love how they did come in and they're like, put him out.
Yeah.
There's a guy burning alive, and your reaction is, okay, put him
Go
out.
put him out. It's a good thing you showed up with a fire extinguisher.
I was more concerned with the fact that there was a guy, the guy who gets brought in is covered in blood, sitting at the foot of this guy that's on fire, and the cops are just like, yeah, let's help him out real fast. Like, there's no suspicious activity involved in this entire thing.
Right.
Oh my gosh. Lastly, so I mentioned this earlier with there was an original ending. So I don't really know if I like this idea more or not, but it would certainly paint a different outcome of the film. So the original ending, if you guys remember back to when we were watching that, which by the way, how convenient is that the program that can decrypt the language also can take that language and turn it into a 3D Studio Max rendering of what they need to have happen.
I think they could have taken that money they used for that portion of the CGI and put it to better use somewhere else.
Yeah.
Have skeletons bust out of the stomach instead of the mouths at the end. Just something different.
Anyway, so if you remember that animation, it shows when the lightning comes down, and then it shows like the blood wall like expanding out. So in the original ending, it has Frost becoming La Magra and unleashing a blood tide, which washed over the city and turns everyone it touches into vampires. The film ended with the vampires winning, having caused the vampire apocalypse. It was a setup for a proposed sequel where Blade and Karen would travel around hitting and destroying vampire food storage areas. But the filmmakers didn't know if there was going to be a sequel, so they changed it to something a little bit less grim.
Interesting.
So could you imagine like a Mad Max Fury Road version, but with vampires, and Blade is like the Mad Max and his Charger driving around killing vampires?
I think that would have been better.
That would have been really interesting. Yeah. And like maybe they have to explain away that like not everyone is hit by the wave, right? You can't have 100% vampires because they would all they would eventually die, right? They would all die. They need to have
right.
You know what I'm saying? It has to have even if the vampire turning point is 50%, you know, and that so that even then like the human race is screwed at that point. And that you would have like these like band of humans like gathered together like in these strongholds, you know, holding out. I kind of like that idea of that. It's an interesting idea.
That'd be cool.
Yeah. All right. Time for this.
Excuse me while I whip this out.
We are doing our top 3. And tonight we're choosing. Somehow we've not done anything with vampires before, which was surprising. So
360 something movies in. We haven't done vampires yet. That's crazy.
It is weird. Which I think we've done a vampire movie before, have we? I don't
sure.
I don't know. I don't know.
I don't think we have.
I don't know what we would have done. Honestly,
we haven't done Twilight.
We have not,
or some of the movies. I'm sure.
Well, Dawn of the Dead would be, or Dusk Till Dawn. That'd be a good one to do.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
we didn't do it for. No, they're zombies. They weren't vampires in Army of the Dead.
Yes. No.
Okay.
Technically, in the book, the I Am Legend, those were vampires. Technically, but the Will Smith version, they're not.
Yeah.
Nice.
But anyway, not the point. The point is that instead of doing just vampire movies, we decided to be a little more specific and pick vampires in movies. So specifically, the characters that you like that are in the vampire movies. And this week, I will start with Andrew. No, Sam. Andrew goes last. Sorry.
All right. Well, I totally didn't listen like I normally do.
Okay.
And I did vampire movies.
That's okay.
That's fine.
So I'm going to put my number 3 at 30 Days of Night.
All right.
The Alaskan vampire movie. Thought that was pretty cool. I'll put my number 2, and this is kind of cheating our rules a little bit, at Blade 2.
Yeah,
because I think Blade 2 is a very good vampire film. And my number 1, and I still enjoy it to this day, is Hotel Transylvania.
Yeah.
And Adam Sandler's vampire. That still makes me giggle watching that stupid movie. So there you go.
Oh yeah, it's a good.
No, I like all 3 of those Hotel Transylvania movies.
Mm-hmm.
They're fun. Ethan.
All right. Well, so this is very interesting because I went through a ton of lists where I was like, man, what are some good vampires out there? I'm nearly positive, except for the Twilight movies, whenever they came out into theaters and I saw them and immediately forgot about them. This is the only vampire movie I've ever seen. I just
gosh.
Or I guess my second vampire movie I've ever seen. The other one is on the list. So I didn't really have a lot to draw from, but I'm gonna go for it anyway. My number 3 slot comes from something I haven't seen, but I know it's still a smart choice. So Tom Cruise as a vampire in Interview with a Vampire. Love Tom Cruise. He's great, and I figure why wouldn't he be any less cool as a vampire? So he made the list. Number 2 is Blade, because I just watched it, and I think I do think he's pretty cool. I like the concept around Blade. I like that he's more of a complex character instead of like he's just a vampire just like everybody else. Like he has this very unique situation, which I think makes him more intriguing. And then my number 1 would be, as a movie, it's What We Do in the Shadows from 2014. And if you want me to be specific, I would choose Taika's vampire as Viago. That entire movie is the funniest thing, probably the funniest thing I've seen Taika do, but it is an absolute hoot when it comes to vampires. I think it's phenomenal.
I've never seen that one. I'll have to check it out for sure.
Oh yeah, it's hilarious. It's really just about a bunch of vampires that live together trying to get through daily life, and like it's very comedic. And they have a TV show on FX now that's like on season 3, so it's a popular thing. So yeah, What We Do in the Shadows, my top vampire movie for sure.
Sweet.
Very cool. All right, I will go next. I chose specific vampires, but I came up with the idea, so that's fine. I did Adam from Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter. He's the main. Nice. He's the main kind of vampire dude. I went like way off the rails. I know, again, some vampire purists are going to be like, "How dare you not pick blah 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 blah." Yeah, well, you guys can suck it. It's my show. Number 2 is Mina Harker from League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. I find her interesting. and kind of attractive, yeah. Which, by the way, someone mentioned earlier, like vampires are all horny or whatever. Like, I think there's even a movie or something where they talk about like vampirism is literally just an excuse to like, you know, bite on each other's necks. Like it's all like a sexual frustration kind of a thing. Like that's what the whole thing is about.
That movie's called Vampires Are All Horny.
I'm sure that's it.
That's a hit.
It's the cult classic from the same director of what is it, Sam? Nymphomaniac. Yeah, sounds right. And my number one was Nomak, who Sam will know is the bad guy, the main vampire villain from Blade 2. So there you go. Not the old dude, Sam, but the mutant vampire.
Yeah.
Dude. That's right. There are mutant vampires in Blade 2. Go.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll watch Blade 2. We're going to do it on the show. In fact, I'm saying it now on the record. We're going to do Blade 2 probably sometime at the beginning of the year. And Ethan, we are requiring you to come back on the show. We're going to force you to watch this trilogy with us.
I love it.
Because Andrew, you haven't watched it either, have you?
No.
Yeah,
I haven't seen it.
Yeah, so don't watch it yet. Wait until we do it together. I'm looking forward to having that conversation to basically the look in your eyes to go, oh, they can make this good.
Well, I'm excited. I will be honest. Like when Blade finished, I was like, awesome. I'm pretty excited for number 2. Like it definitely left me where I was like, oh, this could be pretty cool.
Yeah,
well, number 2. I didn't know it was directed by Guillermo del Toro, so now I'm extra in.
Yeah.
But like I was pretty sold on number 2 already. So yeah, you give me the call, man. I'm here.
And it feels like a Del Toro film. And also, Sam, I didn't realize this until today that Donnie Yen is in that movie also. I forgot he was in it.
I know.
Oh man,
I know, right?
I realize that.
Okay.
And he has very little to do in that movie, which is sad. Like he doesn't get a chance to do kung fu very much, which is a bummer. Because he is with the Force and the Force is with him. There's that.
Yes.
Reference.
Cheroot.
Soundtrack grade on this movie, I don't know. 90s is shit. It's not good.
No.
You okay, Andrew? Andrew got really close to his camera and his eyes got really big. You all right?
I guess so.
Okay.
I guess I'm good.
Oh, Andrew. Yeah, Andrew, it's your turn. Good gosh. I've only been doing this for like, I don't know, 5 months now with you as the last one. Good gosh.
So, listener, ever since I got moved to the end,
you've been forgotten about
just forget that I existed.
Probably half the time I forget that it's your turn. Yeah. I think we need to go back to you being third, okay? It's just easier for me. Andrew, what is your top 3 movies?
It's fine. It's fine.
Good God. I still haven't done Twitter ones yet either. I'm terrible.
So I have at number 3 a classic and probably the original Nosferatu, the original vampire movie. And I saw this movie because I had to play a gig where we played a soundtrack to the film because it's a silent film, and someone had written a score and wanted a live ensemble to play it while the movie played in the background. Mm-hmm. So that was kind of cool. And then at number 2, I have Grandpa from The Munsters in a movie called Munster Go Home. So that was the movie version of that TV show. And then at number 1, Paul Rubens as in Buffy the Vampire Slayer, 1992.
Wait, Paul Rubin was a vampire in that?
Yeah,
I did not know that. Interesting.
Yeah, it's Christy Swanson. Oh, Christy Swanson at her finest.
Nice.
Yeah. That was I guess I wasn't even a teenager and I had a crush on her.
Well, that's
Vampires
all
will
right.
do that to you, man.
I don't think I've ever seen it, honestly.
Oh, go watch it.
I've watched
it inspired the Sarah Michelle Gellar TV show, and Christy Swanson was far better at it than Sarah Michelle Gellar. So,
okay.
Just so you know.
Okay, let me do this before I forget. Twitter, 3 films in a podcast, says Nosferatu, Blade, and Taika as Viago in What We Do in the Shadows.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
Let's see. Cameron, who also says hi, by the way, Ethan.
Oh, hey, Cameron, what's up?
He listens, so he'll appreciate that. Let's see. I'm trying to find it. Gosh dang it. Where is it? Let's see. No, that's not it. Oh, this is great podcasting right here. Holy cow. Okay. Cameron says Claudia with Interview with the Vampire. Is it with the vampire or with a vampire? I don't know. Doesn't matter. Eli from Let the Right One In, and Max Schreck from Shadow of the Vampire. And
I
then
don't know that one.
I don't either. And then I asked, I thought Max Schreck was the character that was in Batman Returns who kills the Celine Kyle, who turns her into Catwoman.
Yeah.
To which he responded with, he's also the actor, so I guess Christopher Walken, who originally played Nosferatu and is portrayed as an actual vampire in Shadow of the Vampire. Big surprise, Tim Burton is a Nosferatu fan. And then at this point, yeah, and then my conversation with it turned weird, and they started talking about Tim Burton. And so anyway, there's that. And then I have one from Jesse. I just can't find it. Jesse said one too, but I can't find it. So sorry, Jesse. You're you're out of luck there, buddy. Anyway, that's it.
Join the club there, Jesse. It's okay.
Yeah. If you've been forgotten by me, then you are not special, is what we're saying.
Oh.
Let's see, I already said them. Yeah, no. Well, I mean, I guess you are special. Oh, here we go. It's a fandom pod thing, says Blade, Jerry Dandridge from Fright Night, and David from The Lost Boys.
Oh,
and then Jesse did say Lestat from Interview, Gary Oldman's Dracula, the Bram Stoker one, and Celine from Underworld, but only the first Underworld movie. He was very specific in only the first one.
I agree.
Okay.
So there you go.
Very cool.
That's it. Time for this.
Wait, what's supposed to happen?
This is where we give the movie a score from 0 to 10, with 10 being great and 0 being whatever movie we said 0 is. Okay. Time for this. Andrew.
Well, I guess it comes as no shock that I can't go very high on this one for me. I'm sure that nostalgia plays a little bit of it for some of you, but for me, that didn't help because I'd never seen it. So I don't know. The action sequences were okay, I suppose, and I guess for Marvel's first attempt at a more adult superhero film, I'm gonna have to. I can't go above that. I'm gonna have to go 5.9.
Okay.
No, I know. I'm gonna have to go 5.8.
Oh.
I gotta back it down.
Just
10
too much.
Point.
Too much.
It's too close to 6.
Yeah. For what it's worth, you gave in the Heart of the Sea a 5.6.
Yeah, I would watch this again before that.
Okay. Ethan? And again, Ethan, feel free to embrace the decimal. I do have a master list of the rankings, and it makes it easier to separate them out.
We use the Dewey Decimal System.
We do.
There, yeah. As long as you're organized, that's good. I think for me, as like a whole movie, I think it had some good, obviously good and bad. I think it's got pretty solid pacing, but I do think there are some serious storyline gaps. I feel like we've called out a lot of them here on the show. I also feel like initially when the cop goes into like Karen's house and Blade shows up and saves her, and then she's just like, I have to stay with you through this entire thing. That was a really big leap for me. And it was a weird, I just felt like it was a weird kind of snoozer part in the beginning. I think that the third act was ridiculous and wild, but I do think it worked. And I mean, it's a good blend of good humor, really cool, like 90s fighting that if you don't look too closely at, you're not gonna see anything too wild. And you know, and a lot of blood and a lot of hot vampires. So I feel like it's got a lot of good things going for it. I'm gonna go with a solid, let's see, solid 6.8. I think that's good. I feel like I can't go into the 7 range. I feel like it's getting a little too high up there, but I would definitely, like, if I go to someone's house or if I'm hanging out with someone and both of us are like, what should we watch? And Blade is like readily available. I'd be like, yeah, cool. Blade sounds good.
Sure.
Yeah. No problems.
Right on. All right. Sam?
This movie at best is serviceable, right? If we need a superhero fix, if we need something to go for, especially if you're looking for that 90s superhero vibe, this is a movie to go to. But I can't, in good conscience, put it up there with some of the other Marvel stuff that we watch and still really enjoy. I got to give it probably a 5.48 out of 10.
Oh, wow. Okay. Interesting. All right. Let's see. I'm scrolling back for you, Sam, just to see what's the last movie you gave something close to that. Outside the Wire, you gave a 5.43.
Yeah.
This is better than Outside the Wire.
You think?
Yeah, I do. Christmas Chronicles 2, you gave a 5.3.
Yeah.
Yeah. Red Sea Diving Resort, a 5.2. So, that's fine.
Did I really? I thought I liked that one.
Apparently not very much.
I don't remember it now.
I don't know.
No,
Red Sea Diving Resort?
Apparently I didn't like it.
No, it was bad.
Yeah. That's okay. You gave We Some in the Darkness a 2.25.
All right. Well, that one deserved that.
Yeah. Your score is shorter than the amount of seconds that Scream is. Ethan, I have to play you this Scream. Okay, hold on. I have to play it. I got to find it. Hold on.
Love a good Scream.
Yeah, I have a bunch of these things, but there's this Scream from...
Although it kind of have to have a context because she's falling from a second-story building.
Yeah, it's a second-story
out
house.
Out a window, right? And it's, yeah.
So at best, the floor was 10 feet off the ground. At best, 10 feet. So you have to think, how long would it take you to fall? And again, she's being projected out. It's not like she just falls straight down. She's been thrown out this window by her own force. And so at best, you would think maybe, I don't know, a second and a half. But this is how long the scream is.
Wow. That's like a 15-story building. That's not a 2-story building.
Oh my gosh. That's
so
great. That's the only good thing to come out of that movie was that scream for our enjoyment.
Yeah.
Love it.
Yeah, nostalgia is going to kick in a little bit. IMDb gives this a 7.1, and I agree. This movie is not great. It's good. It's not okay. How about a 6.9? Since there was a little bit of sexy sex happened in the movie. I mean, this is how funny this is. When I was first watching this movie, and Ethan, you mentioned it earlier, when we first meet Donald Logue's character, he's getting head while making out with another girl. When I was in high school, I honestly didn't know what was happening. I didn't.
Dear Lord!
I just didn't know what was happening. I was just like,
he was just petting her hair.
Is she just napping in his lap? Like I wasn't quite, a little naive. I'll admit. We
didn't talk about Donald Logue. I like Donald Logue. He was in the Gotham show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, you're right.
He was in that show called Grounded for Life.
Yeah, he's really funny.
All the time growing up.
Yeah, he was
a good one.
Yeah,
great guy.
Grounded for Life is an interesting show.
Very
well, not just that, but like, if you want to, what am I trying to say? Sometimes it's just not good to see what happens afterwards. So there's a girl in that show, is it her? Or am I thinking of somebody else?
Well, yes. Post-show craziness.
It's not her. Okay, it's not that show. Okay, it's the other show. Who was the...
This is really good for our listener.
Isn't that great?
It was the other show with the guy from Game of Thrones. God, this is bad.
Oh, the guy with the thing from the show. Yeah.
That does
Yeah.
the talk.
The guy
Yeah.
he's from. It doesn't matter. The point is
Eat
that
you alive.
Donald Logue is great. There you go. That's all I'm going to say. I'm not going to go any farther than that. Donald Logue is great.
Absolutely.
Time for the quote game. What should I play for this one, guys? How about
that one?
Okay.
What?
There we go. The quote game. Last week, quote number 35, Houston, we have a problem, which is obviously from Apollo 13. This is a game. For those of you who are listening, who are new, who are listening because of Ethan on our show, thank you for being here. This is a game. I have a giant poster of movie quotes, and I read from it every week. And if you guess the movie quote correctly, send me an email or a tweet or a message or a Facebook, whatever, and say, hey, that quote is from such and such. If you get it right, I will mail you a sticker. A free sticker. I have a pile of stickers.
Nice.
Ethan, I'm going to mail you some of these anyway because you're a guest on the show.
Yeah, I can't wait.
But anyway, this week's another pretty easy one, I think, and that is Yippee-ki-yay, Mr. Falcon. That's the TV version. He says Mr. Falcon.
Does he really?
He does.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. If you ever watch it on TNT or TBS, he says Mr. Falcon. And
that's bad.
It is bad, but what's so great about it is that, and I think I've talked about it before, my love for the new DuckTales TV show that's on Disney Plus.
Mm-hmm.
There's a bad guy that they fight who is literally called Mr. Falcon, and at one point someone says Yippee-ki-yay, Mr. Falcon, and I laughed so hard I had to pause the show and explain to my wife and kids, well, not really my kids, but my wife specifically, why that was funny. Because someone that was writing and creating that show remembers that dumb line from Die Hard. Oh, sorry. I just ruined the game.
Right and get your stickers.
You really are bad at this game.
Hey, we've been doing this game for 36 weeks and not one person has won a sticker. We've had about 5 or 6 people message me what the quote is, but they already have stickers because they've been longtime listeners of the show. Anyway. That's the quote, Mr. Yippee-ki-yay, MFer. There we go. Ethan, this has been a blast. Thank you so much for coming on the show. Please tell our listeners where they can find more of your show, and because they should definitely check your show out because you're constantly putting out content, and it's really you're a great follow on Twitter. So please tell people where all of that is.
Yeah, thank you for having me on the show. This has been a crazy good time. It was a good reason to finally watch Blade. I am at 15 Minute Marvel on Twitter. I put out a new episode at 12 p.m. Pacific, 3 p.m. Eastern every Wednesday and Friday. The latest Marvel news, reviews, and everything else in close to 15 minutes. I try my best, and yeah, it's a good time. Check it out.
Yeah, when I said, hey, I should come on and we should talk about Daredevil, and you were like, yeah, so, it's a 15-minute podcast. And I'm like, yeah, that's not going to work for me.
Not going to fly.
Yeah, we'll have to do about 7 15-minute episodes.
There you go. Yeah, we'll start our own series.
I like it. Ooh, that's a good idea. Okay. With that having all been said, right? There's nothing else I need to say other than next week on Cheap Scare Reviews, we are doing something legitimately scary. Well, maybe. I don't know. We're doing Dr. Sleep, which is basically the direct sequel to The Shining. And it has our favorite Jedi, Ewan McGregor, and I'm genuinely excited for this because if you've listened to the show, you know that I didn't really like The Shining, but I'm excited for this because I hear that it's really good, and yeah, maybe it'll help inform my view of The Shining better. I know, Sam, you've been dying for me to watch that documentary. I just haven't.
Yeah, got to do it.
I will.
Maybe do it.
Maybe not. I don't know. And we'll have a cool guest coming on that week as well. And yeah, so Dr. Sleep next week. Ethan, again, thank you so much for coming on. We are Cheapseat Reviews. Follow us on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Facebook.com. No, cheapseatreviews.libsyn.com is our website. go buy merchandise from us. Like we have merch, which is cool. Go buy some stuff from us. And we've already kind of talked about what we're going to do with some of the money that we get from those sales, and I think it's going to be pretty cool. We're gonna
drugs and prostitutes.
Yeah, we're gonna. What did you say?
Get 5 kilos.
Find some horny vampires.
I missed the first word. I heard prostitutes, which I was okay with, but what was the first thing you said?
Drugs and
prostitutes. Okay, I didn't know what you said, and I was really confused. I got it. Yeah, that's fine. Drugs and prostitutes. Sure.
Yeah.
Like, there's not a lot of money, so are we going to get like one for the three of us? Like, how's that going to work? No, I'm not. I'm just dumb.
Ew.
No, I know. Ew, he says. Right. That's the ew. Okay. That's it. That's the show. Thank you so much for listening. I feel like I'm forgetting something. If I am, I will fix it in post. On behalf of Ethan and Andrew, this is Sean, and Sam, this is Sean saying thank you so much for listening, and we'll see you next week.
This is Cheapseat Reviews.